Imagine walking into a luxury hotel, expecting the kind of VIP treatment your position demands, only to be told you're not welcome. That's exactly what happened to a powerful black CEO, whose reputation and influence had never been questioned until that night. The air was tense, the staff uneasy, and whispers filled the marble lobby. Everyone could sense that something was about to happen, something that would change more than just the guests' evening. As the CEO calmly approached the front desk, the hotel manager hesitated, struggling to justify an unjust decision. Guests watched silently, sensing the clash between authority and prejudice. Phones were discreetly raised, capturing moments that no one could ignore. What started as a routine stay spiraled into a confrontation that would send shockwaves far beyond the polished walls of the hotel. The CEO's response was quiet but firm, every action deliberate, every word measured. And as the situation escalated, it became clear that this wasn't just about a single night. It was about accountability, justice, and the courage to stand tall in the face of blatant discrimination. What happened next left reputations shattered and careers in the public eye hanging by a thread, and no one saw it coming. The CEO wasn't just any guest, she was a trailblazer in the business world. Known for breaking barriers and leading with vision, her company had reshaped industries, and her influence stretched across continents. Yet here, in a hotel that prided itself on exclusivity, her accomplishments seemed invisible. The tension in the lobby wasn't just about one person being denied entry, it reflected deeper, unspoken biases that had lingered behind polished facades, and luxury decor staff whispered nervously among themselves, unsure how to handle someone of her stature. Some were sympathetic, others hesitant, but all felt the weight of what was unfolding. Cameras discreetly recorded, social media quietly buzzing as bystanders sensed the gravity of the moment. The CEO remained composed, her calm presence making the hotel staff increasingly uneasy. Every glance, every hesitant word from the management seemed to escalate the stakes. Outside, the city lights reflected the growing scrutiny. This wasn't just a private incident, it was a story that could go viral, a narrative that would reach boardrooms, newsrooms, and social media feeds worldwide. The CEO's calm confidence clashed with the hotel's rigid policies, and what started as a routine check-in was fast becoming a defining moment. No one knew yet how far this confrontation would go, but the tension in the air made it clear something monumental was about to unfold. As the standoff continued, the tension in the lobby thickened. Guests who had initially glanced over out of curiosity now leaned in, sensing the drama unfolding before them. Some whispered about the CEO's achievements, while others questioned the hotel's judgment. On one side, the management team huddled, nervously consulting policy manuals and debating who had the authority to make a decision. On the other, the CEO stood quietly, her presence commanding attention without a single raised voice. Meanwhile, a few employees began to share their perspectives in hushed tones. One bellhop who had witnessed discrimination in subtle forms before, looked conflicted, loyal to the hotel, but unsettled by the unfairness he couldn't ignore. A front desk clerk quietly messaged a coworker, hinting that this incident might reach higher levels. Even the media, every angle of the situation revealed tension between power, bias, and accountability. Outside the lobby, social media was already stirring. A guest had discreetly recorded snippets, posting them online with a caption that raised questions about fairness and privilege. Comments and shares multiplied rapidly, turning a private conflict into a potential public crisis. Every passing minute added pressure, and what started as a single confrontation now threatened to unravel careers, reputations, and even the hotel's carefully cultivated image. The air was electric, and no one knew which side would break first, or how far the consequences would go. The atmosphere in the lobby grew almost unbearable. Cameras from phones captured every glance, every pause, every word exchanged, and whispers had turned into a low murmur of judgment and anticipation. The CEO's calm composure only heightened the tension, her quiet authority contrasting sharply with the flustered hotel staff who struggled to maintain control. Each passing second felt heavier, as if the entire hotel was holding its breath. The manager stepped forward again, trying to assert authority, but faltered under the CEO's unwavering gaze. Behind the polished counter, policies that once seemed absolute now felt irrelevant, fragile against the weight of public scrutiny and moral accountability. Employees exchanged nervous glances, aware that how this played out could define their careers, the hotel's reputation, and even larger conversations about equity and respect in spaces that claimed to welcome everyone. Outside, the social media storm was building. Clips were being shared, discussions ignited, and hashtags began trending. News outlets were alerted, and soon, the incident could reach audiences far beyond the marble walls. The CEO's subtle gestures and measured words held a quiet power, challenging authority without confrontation. While the hotel's leadership wrestled with a decision that could either diffuse or escalate the situation dramatically, every second stretched like a taut wire, and the tension was palpable. The moment was on the edge of tipping, everything was about to collide, and no one could predict the consequences that would follow. Just as the tension seemed unbearable, an unexpected twist sent shockwaves through the lobby. A senior executive from the hotel's corporate headquarters arrived, summoned earlier by a panicked staff member. The CEO turned her calm gaze toward him, and for the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed the manager's face. The executive's presence should have diffused the situation, but instead, it intensified it. Whispers grew louder, cameras raised higher, and the energy in the room shifted from tense to electric. The executive, expecting to enforce policy and protect the hotel's image, found himself caught in a storm of public scrutiny and undeniable evidence. Social media clips were already circulating, highlighting every misstep, every flinch, every awkward pause. Employees who had hesitated to speak now found their voices, quietly aligning with the CEO's position. Meanwhile, the CEO's composure remained unshaken, her calm confidence radiating authority and subtly challenging the very culture that had tried to dismiss her. Suddenly, an internal email notification buzzed on the manager's phone, and the contents only escalated the stakes. It hinted at previous complaints against the hotel for similar behavior, complaints that had been quietly suppressed. The implication was clear. This wasn't an isolated incident. The CEO wasn't just confronting a single staff member's poor judgment, she was exposing a systemic problem, and the public was watching every moment. The lobby had transformed into a battlefield of influence, perception, and accountability, and everyone realized that what happened next could alter careers, reputations, and even the hotel's legacy forever. The tension in the lobby reached a breaking point as the CEO finally spoke. Her voice calm but firm, she outlined the situation with clarity, referencing the hotel's policies, her rights as a guest, and the broader implications of discrimination. The executive from corporate, caught between loyalty to the brand and the undeniable evidence piling up on social media, hesitated. Guests and staff watched silently, sensing the moment would define everything. Then, in a decisive move, the CEO was offered a formal apology and immediate access to her suite, accompanied by assurances that the hotel would review its practices and address the systemic issues she had uncovered. Cameras captured the moment, the crowd erupting into murmurs of admiration and shock at the CEO's poise and strategic handling of the confrontation. Employees exchanged relieved looks, realizing that the power of integrity and calm confidence had turned the tide. Just when it seemed the story had reached a natural resolution, a final twist emerged. The CEO revealed that she had secretly contacted several major investors and media outlets before even arriving at the hotel. The incident, she explained, was being documented as a case study in corporate accountability and discrimination awareness. The hotel, now facing the prospect of public scrutiny on a global scale, I had no choice but to comply fully. What began as a routine check-in had transformed into a defining moment of justice, influence, and accountability, one that would leave an indelible mark on the industry and remind everyone that power, respect, and integrity can shift even the most entrenched systems. In the days that followed, the story dominated headlines and social media feeds. The hotel issued a public statement acknowledging the incident, promising a full review of policies, staff training on equity and inclusion, and a commitment to prevent similar situations in the future. Employees who had felt powerless during the confrontation now felt a renewed sense of purpose. Inspired by the CEO's courage and strategic approach, the CEO returned to her routine with a reputation stronger than ever. Interviews and features highlighted her leadership, her composure under pressure, and her ability to turn a moment of discrimination into a lesson in accountability. Investors and business leaders praised her not just for her professional accomplishments, but for demonstrating how integrity and strategic thinking can challenge systemic issues. For the hotel, the incident became a turning